In today's episode with Katya, we discussed her career in Microsoft. She shared how she landed her first international job in Microsoft as a software engineer. Also, we discussed how she switched from software engineer to product manager in Microsoft. And we finalized our discussion with performance review, how to grow, how to be promoted as a PM in Microsoft. I'm Juliana. I'm documenting my product management career in tech. If you're passionate about career as me and eager to navigate your challenges, don't forget to subscribe. Let's navigate together. Hello everyone, and hello Trishina. Thanks a lot for joining today.
Hi, Liana. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. It's sunny and nice in LA.
Yeah. And again, thanks a lot for joining. I before we jump discussing your looking for a job process, your career in Microsoft and switching from the software engineer to product manager, could you please tell a little bit of your background? What have you did? And yeah.
Yeah, so my name is Katya, my preferred name, and I got a master's degree back in Russia. And then I was working full-time as iOS software engineer. And then back in 2019, I went through the round of interviews with like Microsoft, Facebook, and other big tech companies. And yeah, I ended up landing an offer with Microsoft. And then I moved to Vancouver, Canada first because of the visa issues with the US. Within a year, I switched to PM. And yeah, I think now, like I was discussing with my other friend that in July, it's going to be 10 years since like, you're working in tech. So like a big milestone.
Exciting career and super, I guess, not obvious. So yeah, I'm excited to know more about you. And let's start from your looking for a job process. I know that find your first international job, it's not easy because when you work in your local local country, nobody know these big companies, and like you need to build your personal brand, your networking from scratch. And could you please share a little bit how did you prepare to this big change, and how did you prepare to go to demand these big corporations?
Yeah, sure. So I guess I'll start. I always wanted to kind of move away from Russia. I don't know. I just wanted to have like an international experience. And I remember like when you're like your first couple of years in your job, I was applying also like to London and other companies. And I would always get rejection saying like, oh, we don't give you a visa sponsorship. So, which was upsetting, but at the same time, you could understand, that maybe you just don't like, you're just not valuable enough to those companies. So I guess I just kept working until like I guess I reached senior lead position in like iOS. And I started applying again. And I think my story may be a little bit interesting story in a way that I did some hard work, meaning like I did prepare for the interview. And at that time, because I was going through the round of like software engineering questions. So there was this book, Cracking the Coding Interview, and there was like so many resources on the internet, like Lead Code and stuff, where you can just go every day and you practice these questions. So, but at the same time, yeah, like there was a very lucky coincidence. So I'm originally from Bryansk, and then I moved to Moscow. But in Bryansk, so there was this couple of Americans which were doing like kind of free English club, and they were from Seattle. And one of the days they have visitors from Seattle, and that's how I met a guy who just said, "Oh, I work for Microsoft." I was like, "Oh my God, this is so cool! Like, can you teach me how to pass my job interview?" And surprisingly, he just said yes. So like he started kind of a little bit coaching me of like what does it mean to like work at this company, like what is the interview process looks like. So, and then along the way, I had also like some colleagues, so just overall people who were passionate about moving also somewhere. So, and they introduced me to two other people who were already in the States, and one of those were working for Google and another one was working for Facebook. So I had three different people working like Microsoft, Google, Facebook, happy to help me like do some mock-ups interview and help me along the way. So like I think that was kind of lucky. And yeah, in the way, like once I felt like I was ready, you know, because you still need to prepare. Like I don't think you can pass, because they are looking for some particular structure, and that's all like in the book and on those resources. So anyway, yeah, well, like one of these people, like the guy who was working for Facebook, so he like one day he just pinged me saying, oh, like my previous hiring manager from Microsoft is looking for a software engineer in his team. Do you want me to recommend you? And I was like, yes. So then we had like a first, like, you know, Skype interview. So that's the first process. Like, I mean, at least how it was before, because I don't know now, like it's been like over 5 years since I interviewed. Yeah, we had this first call. And then I also, like, it's not a part of the luck story. I told him like, hey, like in a week, I'm going to Miami on vacation. So I passed my first like Skype interview, and then I went on to Miami on vacation. And then while there, I'm receiving like email from Microsoft saying, oh, we're authorizing you to fly in. And I was like, wow. So instead of going back home to Moscow on my last day of vacation, I just flew to Seattle. So they bought me tickets and like the hotel and stuff. So, and then, yeah, like I had the 5-hour interview, which was crazy. Honestly, I feel like by the end of the like day, my brain was like, okay, I just cannot do any English. I just want to speak Russian. I'm so tired. My brain is exhausted. Anyway, I know that if you're like in Russia, so they usually don't buy you tickets because, you know, there's like just a lot of things and the visa and stuff. So to me, it was like a really pure luck that I was already like in the country, and then it was easy for them to invite me on site. So yeah, I think that's like how like kind of get it in short.
And how long did you prepare? Like it took a year or 6 months. And did you have only mock interviews with your mentors, I guess? I'm trying to understand, because when I look at my first international job, I was not so patient about it. And I decided, okay, I should test myself, my English and my interview processes in life. And I just applied for a company which I didn't want to work, but I applied and it was my mock interviews. So could you please a little bit share how your preparation process was going on?
I think for me, it took, I think, around maybe a couple of years, because so there were like periods where like I started and then at some point it became hard, and like I dropped for a couple of months. So like it wasn't like, consequent 2 years, but I feel like at first starting was really hard because, I mean, everything in English, obviously, right? And you need to be really good at those like data structures and algorithms. So, and then, yeah, working full-time job, meaning that you can only spend your free time, right? Because it's not like you have extra time to just sit and all day practice the interviews. There was one thing that I guess I didn't mention, and I think that really helped overall get the position. So what I was doing, my work day would start at 8 a.m. So, and I would come to my company like at 7, and I would spend the first time like just practicing those interviews by myself. And then I had a colleague who kind of noticed that, and somehow he was also interested in improving his knowledge in data structures and algorithms. And he's like, hey, why don't we kind of form a team and work together on that? I was like, yeah, cool, sure. So in the end, I ended up organizing what I call the algorithm club or algorithm meetup, where like weekly I was hosting like this meeting for an hour with particular structure. We all will be working like on some type of problem. Kind of you're given like 20 to 30 minutes, and then in the end discuss solutions, because I believe like a problem can be solved like multiple ways. So it it was interesting to see how other people think and kind of learn from each other. So yeah, in the end, I felt like it was a success because like I got my job and like another guy got a job with Amazon in London, like someone switched somewhere internally, someone got inspired and created their in the cloud kind of podcast or whatever. So like I felt that was a very beneficial, huge idea because I didn't feel alone, and it was cool to have like teammates and kind of same mission, you know.
I got it. So you need to prepare your English, you need to prepare skills in your algorithm, and you can do it by solving problems. Yeah, I got it. My question, have you prepared kind of answers or stories to behavioral questions? Is it popular questions in the software engineering interviews?
Yeah, because so like for example, there is this good example where let's say like someone gave you a coding task and you did it, and it's like the answer is right, so you did it right, but you're not hired, and you know why? Because you didn't engage this person. So basically, you need to talk to you kind of on this interview. You need to pretend that the interviewer is your teammate, and they're looking at a like certain culture. So like I'm walking you through. So I'm saying, okay, let me ask a clarifying question first. And then you ask this clarifying question. Then it's like, okay, I think so you need to speak out loudly so this person understands how you think. And you're kind of like literally mimicking to be a team and seeing like how that works. So just how to say, coming to the right answer is not enough. Because yeah, like you can be great at just being an isolated contributor, but like in most big tech company, that's not how it works. So you have a team and you're expected to interact on some level. So like you as a team are successful. And if you're not demonstrating those skills, you know, like you probably won't be hired. And I know that like for a lot of software engineers, like behavioral part is actually more difficult. So I think for me it was naturally more easier because then like, you know, I switched to PM and I feel good about talking. I like talking. Yeah, I mean, I kind of came up with like prepared stories, but like I did not really like memorize it or something because I feel like it just comes naturally to me. So
yeah, my question is, what else are important in this process of the interview, except that you need to present like your stories, you need to show that you are a team member, speak out loudly. What else do you recommend to people who would like to start working in big tech companies?
maybe also kind of be like a positive person. At least to me, that's important. Like if you are like, you know, like what it called kind of growth mindset. I don't know, like if small companies have that, but that was like a thing kind of moving from Russia to like US. So basically like you're faced with challenge and kind of you demonstrate the growth mindset where you're like thinking, okay, what can I learn from this situation? You know, instead of just like, I mean, being upset. I think it's normal to be upset, like maybe for a kind of few minutes or whatever, like certain of normal amount of time, but like which makes your reaction. But overall, like for example, even in my team, so there were so many reworks and changes. So like you kind of expected to be good at adaptation to those changes. And if you are not, then difficult to survive in the system.
I totally agree. I guess it doesn't depend maybe how company big is, but it's also good trait of person to any company. Because if I hire somebody, I also would like to have a person who agile, who are flexible, and who stay positive. I really love this expression that as a product manager, you need to love a problem which you solve. Maybe as a software engineer, like you also need to love what you're doing and show this love. And my final question in this topic, not final, I guess, we will discuss COVID and this layoff situation. But what do you recommend regarding the resume? I think the big problem it is ATS system when you send your resume and you cannot get any answers. How to pass this big big problem if you are going to apply to the bank, for example, or the Microsoft? Do you have some recommendations?
Yeah, I mean, so I can tell how it was before and now. So before, overall, I feel like Facebook and Google and Amazon are pretty good, like were pretty good if you just apply from the website. So I remember that on the Google website, I applied to multiple positions, and like a few days later, I had a call on my phone when I was in Russia, and I was like, oh my God, it worked, you know? So it was just so crazy, unexpected. So, but at some companies, they're not as good as like checking, even like, I don't know, like let's say if you know a person like I did, like who's working like for Facebook, so like they can recommend you, but sometimes it's still kind of not really working. Coming kind of to right now, I feel because there were like a lot of layoffs, and that's what I've heard from, I guess, other people. So the right way to do it, to kind of maximize your chance, you really need to know someone from that team. So like, let's say you are interested in position X on LinkedIn, then you look, oh, okay, do I have any connections who's working like there? Then you kind of need to ping that person and ask. And the best outcome would be if like they know the hiring manager and they can literally say, okay, I recommend this person and pass your CV to them. So that's how you like literally maximize your chances. So because right now I feel like, I mean, I guess that's what I've heard from the people who's been laid off, that by the time like you want to apply, it already shows like 1,000 people applied. So you like 1,000 something. So no one's going to see your CV, you know, no matter how good you are, no one's just going to see your CV. So yeah, the trend right now a little bit changed. So people are trying to network more to kind of get a job.
Yeah. And also, as I know, approximately 80% of all job postings are closed by networking. And I agree also, again, with this approach. If I hire somebody, if I need somebody in my team, of course, I will have a big trust to someone's opinion, or if I work with this person, this specialist, it's easier because the resume not can present fully the person. Okay. And I guess we discussed that how this laid-off situation and COVID impacted the hiring process. And the good advice is to be prepared. And second one is developing your networking while you're working in your current company. It's the best. And it's the best solution. Let's discuss another topic about career. So you got a job in Microsoft. It's great, but you have kind of a test period. How many? Okay, maybe 3 months or maybe 6 months. You tested this company. You need to present that you are good. Could you please share a little bit about this situation? So how it works, how onboarding worked, how after an onboarding process you understand and your manager understand that you are good enough?
Yeah, I would start with that. Like, I don't think at least Microsoft or other big tech, they don't have like Russia the 3 months trial period. So basically, usually the big companies has a performance review, which is usually done kind of twice a year, like around like March, April, and then like around October, November. And then based on that performance review, so in September, at least for Microsoft, you got the rewards. So like if your performance was good, you got a certain amount of stocks, like merit increase of your salary. I remember because I joined in February, right? Yeah, like it was like February 19th. It was my first day at Microsoft in Vancouver, Canada. And then like my connect came in March, and I remember writing something like, okay, there was just only 2 months, and usually the manager, like, you just cannot demonstrate something meaningful within 2 months. So usually when you just came that way, they'll give you like normal, meeting the expectation. So meaning like it's like 100% like stock and whatever. I don't exactly remember what like the other other, items. But I feel like, yeah, they like if you just join and your performance review is coming and you just didn't have enough time to prove yourself, they just give you a standard. But then by the second performance review, they will evaluate you based on the impact. So basically your contributions, like how it's contribute overall to the business, money or whatever objectives might be. Also, Microsoft has values, and you need to show contributions towards culture, or how you're helping your teammates to grow. So it's not only your personal achievements where I delivered blah, I grew something 3x or whatever. So it's a little bit more complicated. Again, coming back to you need to be a good fit within a team, so the team is functioning effectively.
I guess we will jump later to the performance review, especially regarding the PM job. Let's discuss, how did you switch to PM from this big company? Really super, maybe stupid question, to whom you tell that you would like to be a PM, with whom you understand what skills you need to improve, who evaluate you and give you opportunity. Because when I worked and when I would like at Skyeng and when I would like to switch to PM, I didn't know how to do it, and I just share my wishes to somebody who expect that it is a good PM. And I was lucky. I was good at my project manager work, and then this person came to me and told, Juliana, I'm hiring a new project manager into your team. Would you like to be something like that? And for me, it's not so structured. It was not so structured. So I'm curious, is it structured in the Microsoft? Would you please share how you manage this process?
I guess, yeah, I had this idea kind of for a while, because I started noticing that I do like solving problems, but I felt like I'm a little bit limited. You don't have that much freedom when you're a software engineer, because you're just given, oh, you need to solve problem X, and all your kind of creativity resolves around how to solve problem, versus when you're a PM, you're the one who decided kind of what to build, and that sounds more like a fun role to me. I think in Vancouver, when I was there maybe for around 5-6 months, on the kitchen, I met a guy obviously working there, and we started chatting, and overall I feel like it was 2019, so it was not COVID yet, so I was lucky, and people are pretty friendly, so you can kind of strike this chit chat. So that's what I meant by I met a guy there, and yeah, I started just talking to him, and he said oh, I'm a principal PM. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm super curious, and I just asked him hey, do you have time, do you want to grab lunch together? I would love to ask you more about the PM role. And then he agreed, and out of the conversation he mentioned to me that he coached some software engineers and helped them switch to the PM. And I was like, oh my god, I would like to be my mentor. And he also said yes. So I feel if you look at my story, it seems I have some kind of pattern. So first I found a guy who was working for Microsoft, I asked him for help. Later in Microsoft, I find a guy who was a PM, and I asked him hey, can you help me? So yeah, anyway, this person was super smart. Again, he was principal level PM. So he mentioned yeah, you don't want to go to that job unless you're prepared. So we kind of crafted some plan of how to say basics, what I need to be good at, and kind of for the next 6 months, I worked on this plan, doing necessary reads. I don't exactly right now remember what was the task, but he was giving me some homework, so we were discussing and kind of also meeting weekly so I can improve. And then I finally won the H-1B visa, my second year while I've been in Vancouver. So that's why I kind of only spent in Vancouver 10 months, and then end of 2019, November 2019, I moved to Seattle, Washington, because my visa was approved and everything was good. So, and I came to see my team in person, because while in Vancouver, so I was kind of working remotely for US, because that's where my team and where I was kind of hired. But because of the visa hoops, that's how I made a stop in Vancouver. So yeah, anyway, this person also gave me a really good tip, which I'm willing to share with everyone. So he said especially in a big company, if you're passionate about something, you gotta talk about that really to everyone, because next time, let's say like this person is hiring, he will remember, oh, Katya mentioned that she's super passionate about this topic, and he will think about you. But if you don't talk it about that, and you're gonna keep it to yourself, like no one knows, so no one can help you. So anyway, in my case, I just chatted to my engineering manager when I was in Seattle, and I was like, hey, like I feel I would like to try maybe a PM role, but I'm not sure what is the right process. And with the team again, like kind of, I don't know, because each team in Microsoft is different. So I cannot say like that works in all Microsoft. But with this team, I was lucky. They said, oh yeah, we have something called like internship. So which is kind of similar to internship, but not exactly, because you already. So basically what does it mean for me? So it's like, we can give you a role of PM for 3 months and assign you a PM manager. And after 3 months, both you and your PM manager will make a decision if you want like stay. So that kind of like, a safer path where like, okay, if you try it out and you didn't like it, no major changes were made and you can come back doing your like normal job. So that's what I did. And I was lucky, like also with the assigned with a really good PM manager. After the first month, I'm like, oh my God, yeah, that's it. I want to switch. I like it way more. It's way more fun job because you have so much freedom and things and ambiguity or whatever. I mean, there's obviously, because you're also PM, you know that. So it's not like all kind of pinky clouds. So there are challenges in our job. But like comparing to being a software engineer, I just felt like it was more like, how to say, my personality fit. So where like I have more freedom. So yeah, after 3 months, I said like I want to stay, and the PM manager confirmed that like I'm a good fit. I'm gonna be successful after that. So like it kind of sad because I really like the guy in terms of like I think he was great manager. So we kind of had this honest conversation where he asked me like, what do you think like in 5 years, and like this typical question. So and I told him, because again he was a good manager, we have like a good relationship. I told him like, hey, I do love being PM, but I don't think this product is what I want, because it was like internal facing, and I was more like, oh, I would like something external, so like your customers, people in the real world, so you can do some presentations, there's more like public speaking and things. He kind of encouraged me, like he was like, hey, before we like finalize everything, maybe you just try looking if this opportunity already exists, because like if you want to switch in a year, so like like kind of what's the point. And at first I felt sad, like that's about, I guess, like this growth mindset. So I was like I didn't really want to go because it was comfortable, like working set up, and like I liked him as my kind of manager and mentor. But then I was like, okay, I'll just take a look. And then I kind of took a look, and then again through a recommendation, like I found my current team where I am right now. So and I went through some internal interviews for the product manager role, which is a bit different from external, because external is like a full like this like big round, and I would say internal is just a little bit smaller. So like I maybe had only 3 with like different important teammates at the time on the team. So and then in the end, after the end of this internship, not only I switched to PM, but I also switched to a new team, and that was already like a COVID time, so it was like around August 2020.
Wow, it's amazing story. Like it's so inspiring and it so correlates to me because I had the same. Like first I built relationship, then I looking for the opportunity, and I guess it's can be applicable for any situation. And I have 2 questions here. Like first question, this internship, I don't know how to call it. Is it accessible to everyone in Microsoft?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't know exactly. That's what the kind of, so Microsoft has orgs, and that org was like within Microsoft 365. So basically it was like Word, Excel, like that part of the Microsoft. So there they decided that they're going to have this process, but like I cannot guarantee that. Like right now I'm in Azure. So Azure had that. I don't know. So it's like, I don't think it's standardized. So that's why I feel like, I just got lucky. But usually I feel like if you have a really good relationship with your manager, I think that's important. You can always start talking, because that's not how to say, that's not an uncommon problem to solve. And at least back in the day, imagine someone says like, okay, I want to be like a product manager. He is like, or she is a software engineer. engineer, and you say no. So that means you just lose this talent to the somewhere else. So to prevent losing the talent, like at least in this org, they decided, okay, we're just going to give them a chance. That why. So since like you're still keeping the talent inside the company, so by being flexible, and I think this is great.
Yeah, I guess you can ask your manager or you can ask HR maybe. Sometimes it also help because maybe in another department, big department, this opportunity can be. And my second question, what did you do in this internship in the 3 months? What issues did you solve? Do you remember?
I think I was kind of, because so that space was like related to the automation overall, like of the systems. So I think I've worked on some like reliability and performance dashboard, kind of surface out the issues. Like I was reporting in like monthly business review on the metrics. And I remember, yeah, so like the reason I liked that manager, because he kind of saw me as who I am. So saying he like, I remember we discussed this, he was like, oh, you just all came, with all what do you want and your ideas, So it's like, I was never like a shy person who, like there's nothing wrong, like, but there are like kind of people who like, they don't know what they want and they need more like guidance. And I was like the one who's like, okay, let's do this, let's do that. So, and yeah, I just remember how it was like fun because he gave me an option, like out of the business vector, what was important to choose what I would like to work on. So it was like really great experience. So, and I think by the end of 3 months, like I wasn't still able kind of to fully ship everything because again, I feel like at Microsoft and most of the big techs, shipping is not as fast as like when I was working in Russia. So we was shipping feature like every couple of weeks and you can do the A/B test and you can get the feedback. And here it's like at least 3 months or sometimes it's like 6 months, so it's like a long process to ship something in production.
Why I add this question? Because I remember my process, and to be honest, I didn't know the exact time when I finally become a product manager. Because for me, it was so naturally, like by evolution. For example, yeah, I work with software engineers as a project manager. I work with Jira. I set up some tickets. Then I start working with designers, and then I start working collecting requirements. And I really missed where I am a project manager, where I am a product manager. So it's really curious, like what issues and what task you did in this internship.
I think if you want to answer me a little bit from a different perspective, so I felt like being a software engineer, like at Microsoft, again, you just given a particular scope and you need to come up with solution in this particular scope. That's it. But like being a PM, you're not given a scope. So it's you who's doing research, coming to your manager and saying like, hey, we need to invest in this because A, B, C, D. So, and I feel like that's the main switch of the role where like you are less executing, but more like doing the strategy, and then you need to convince the stakeholders of like, hey, this is what we need to do, and then your engineering team is obviously building the stuff.
Yeah, and maybe it's also in my problem in my working in my culture, I guess. Yeah, maybe problem working before project manager that you are working on execution, so you execute, and sometimes you forget about this discovery process and stakeholder management. Yeah, okay. It just kind of off topic of it. And let's discuss your current career right now. To be honest, I'm not sure that you are lucky. You were proactive, and it's really good trait of the people when you know what you want and you come with this goal to somebody ask for the help. And it's not lucky. You are worked for it. You changed your team. And also I know that you became the next level of product management. So could you please share how this performance review going in the Microsoft? First of all, what is the process, how the process looks for PMs right now, and how to grow as a PM through this performance review?
It's pretty, I think for each company, it would be an individual process. Like at Microsoft, doesn't matter, like both for PM and software engineer. So like wherever you're in particular level, there is a certain expectations, which is literally written down shown in the Word document. So you can go and read it out. So to get the next level, basically, you need to perform on the next level. So basically, you just go to the website, you download the Word document for the next level, and you look what's written in there, and then you need to demonstrate it like at workplace. So usually what I did, and again, through the, say, like my tenure with Microsoft, I had some career advices how you can manage your manager in terms of like, you know, so sometimes again, it's like depends on the manager, like you're lucky in a way, like, or your manager likes you and kind of they are also giving you a hand, kind of helping you out. But sometimes it's not the case, and manager like kind of, not that they don't really want to give you a promotion, but not like, you know, not that invested, I guess, in you. So like how do I get it? Like you download the spreadsheet, and then for the each like bullet point, if you think that you already demonstrated that, you just writing down the example of like, hey, I did blah blah on the project X, which resulted in this, which shows the impact. And then probably there would be some bullet points where like you didn't show. At least that was for me. So like some of those I put it, I was like, okay, I think I accomplished that. So then the next step, like you are just setting like a regular career discussion, like with your manager, probably like once a month or whatever is appropriate cadence. So it can depend on like how busy your manager are and stuff. And then you're like having this conversation saying like, hey, I would love really to go to the next level. So like I did like this, my self-evaluation. What do you think? And you give them time to also like go through what you wrote and see if they agree or disagree, because maybe like, I don't know, you said like, oh, you're good at adaptability, but your manager thinks that you are not. The question is like to see the real picture, how like your manager sees you, right? And then like once you have that, and let's say like there is this missing bullet points, what I did in the past, I was like, hey, can you give me some like projects or initiative where I can demonstrate that? And that's how like basically then for the missing points, you know what you need to accomplish, so you can demonstrate. And once you feel like you demonstrated, again, you can have this conversation again. So, and then like the promotion will come to you. So for me, like I really needed to manage my manager. So it like I never was like in the situation where the kind of was like just coming easy to me, because I feel like dynamics of our team is just like we are very busy because we're like a startup project. So, but I knew some instances where like again, like as I mentioned, if the manager is like have some time and they invested to you, so that to some people it's just in some conversation manager can announce, oh, like, you know, you've been promoted, so like you know, kind of type. Hope that helpful.
Yeah, it's really helpful and it's really structured. Guys, if you're working in the startups and your company doesn't have these skills of level, I guess it's really helpful to just Google like what's the difference between junior product manager and product manager. I guess maybe I can find and link from their forge. I understand the process, how to meet expectations, but how in which, I guess, as I know, performance review work twice, as you said, and you prepare kind of self-estimation and you are working between these these 2 points with your manager with in these career meetings. And do I understand correctly that then on the performance review you get this, you write this self-estimation after performance review, your product like your manager decide that you are promoted? I don't understand correctly when it's be decided that you can be promoted and how it's connected to the performance review. Yeah.
No, yeah, I think so. Performance review is mostly like to estimate how good of a performer you are. So basically, like, let's say if you are not meeting the expectation, like you can get this check mark that you're not meeting the expectation. And then they give you like 6 months to, or say, make up and prove that, okay, that was a mistake or whatever happened. I don't know, maybe something challenging happened in your life. I don't know, like that's why it kind of influenced that. So, but again, it's mostly like, so if it's again, I think it's based more about like how much cash bonus you get, stock and stuff. So if you're meeting the expectation, you kind of, you have the regular like stock or whatever, which is also like for the certain level, they like there are certain numbers. So that's why, like, for example, the higher you go to your career, like, you know, you can meet the expectations, but your stock and cash bonus will be way higher than the person who's a junior one, because on that level you kind of have more. So, and then you can exceed the expectations, and there's a certain percentage of how much like your stock, cash bonus and stuff increases. So basically that's a separate like overall process of just keeping you in company or not keeping in your company. Promotion, at least from what I learned, there are like 4 quarters, so you can be promoted in one of the 4 quarters. And it's again like, so once you let's say meet the next level expectations and your manager agrees, because basically the manager needs to go to his boss, and then there is some kind of whatever discussions, so where they need to also look at the budget. And like, for example, if they don't have budget right now, they can tell you, okay, we're going to promote you like in the next quarter, because right now there is no budget. So, but I don't know exactly, because Microsoft is big, so many teams, so the process might be slightly different on the details, but the general rule, yeah, you just need to perform on the next level to get a promotion, like, and you need to perform consistently, meaning, oh, not I did it like once, maybe it was an accident, like skill on this level, so that's why, like, you've been promoted.
Yeah, I got it. It's like 2 separate processes, because in some companies, as I know, you can be promoted only like after performance review.
No, there is no such a link. So like basically you can be promoted before the performance review or after. So yeah, I mean, obviously, like if you've been performing bad, I don't think, so it's like, it's not gonna happen. But like if you're performing good, so performance review shouldn't stop anyone.
For the employee, it's performance review is a good signal, understand how I work, what about my expectation from the role. Yeah, it's a great process also, because I know a lot of people don't like performance review, something like that. But okay, it's a different question. And last question is in this topic, for example, if you don't know how to prevent that you are good at this skill of this expectation, to whom you ask help?
Yeah, within Microsoft, there is also, some like DLLs, meaning like some email domains. And when I just joined, I was encouraged to join like kind of women groups. So basically, you can ask for help in those. And overall, again, I mean, before COVID, because I feel like COVID made it a little bit different for people. As I was mentioning, there was no difficulty to just talk to someone, and like you kind of make this connection, like who they are. And like, for example, that's how like back in the day, I found like a girl, she was also a senior PM like at Microsoft, but in separate org, but she was all driven and ambitious, and I kind of like her vibe. So like, yeah, I just asked her like, hey, would it be okay if like I booked some time on your calendar? And she was giving me some tips out of her experience. In the past, I just felt like it was never a problem to find a person, because there is like so many programs, or like I remember one of those were like called reverse mentoring, where like you kind of early in career employees are paired with like leaders and executives, and this is you who's coaching them on the career and stuff. And I did that program twice, and like in a second time, so it's like a 3 months period. I really like that leader. So, and I later, like he was asking me what I am struggling with. In the end, after like our mentorship ended, he like proposed like, hey, do you want me to be your mentor for a little bit so I can help you with this? And that was great. So I feel like if you're seeking for it, you can always find the opportunities where to find people. And yeah, like my advice, like if you feel you're stuck, ask for help. So, and I think it was back also in Russia, I learned this saying, which I feel like I'm using like a mantra. If you ask, there is two answers, yes or no. If you don't ask, the answer is always no. So what are you losing?
Yeah, I can totally relate, because I have the same approach. I always ask, and I'm super lucky that all my managers were my mentors, like, or maybe I find people who can help me. But it's not super obvious for everyone because I had a mentee. She would like to change her role to the product manager. But I asked her, like, did you have a meeting with somebody who is already product manager? Do you know what needs to be done? Like, did you discuss something? And she told me, no. Okay, what is the problem? Let's start like sharing your wishes, and maybe sometimes you will find these opportunities. I also recommend, guys, to start telling, start asking. I agree. I love your advice, Katya. And let's wrap up. And my last question: what do you recommend to people who would like to excel their careers in big tech companies?
You mean like in terms of passing the job interview or overall?
Yeah, let's create our role.
I guess, yeah, like having a really good network. And I don't know. So I think that's also one of the fun advices that I got from the kind of senior person. So whenever you join a new team or whatever, you really need to create a stakeholder map, and you need to understand who influences like your career and who are the key people. And you need to be very point by point on top, creating those relationships and manage this relationship. That's how like I feel like you can have a very easy route. Versus I feel like obviously when I just joined Microsoft, I was just so happy, I've never done that before. So whenever that person shared this with me, I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't know you can do that. So it's like people are very thoughtful about, like, you're very strategic. So at managing your career. So like I feel like if you're strategic and you put intention, like you're gonna be successful. But I think on top of that, the main key ingredient, you got to be passionate about what you're doing, because if you are not, I feel like and that's, I think, was partial my story when I was a developer. Like I was seeing other people and kind of the sparkles in their eyes, and I was just like quietly noticing to myself that, oh my god, I don't feel like I have that sparkle. I feel this sparkle is really important. So when I switched to PM, like I felt like, oh my god, I have my own sparkle. I think, yeah, that's it. Like just loving what you do, like finding the meaning, and then like as much as you want to be successful, then have like a really conscious approach and structure, like how to manage this so you can go faster, like if that's your goal,
Thanks a lot, Katya. I really feel your passion, and I hope our listeners also will feel your passion, and your advice and tips will be very helpful for them. So, guys, if the podcast was insightful, valuable for you, please share this link with your colleagues or friends. And also, if you forget something, or if you have questions to Katya, please comment below, and don't forget to subscribe to get more episodes. Thanks, Katya, and
thank you for having me here.
Yeah,
have a good
bye.
one.
Bye.
Bye.